Hi guys, welcome back to Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host Jamie Carter. I'm going to do a preview of the weekend's action. Review of the weekend's action even. Going from the 14th through to the 16th of October. I'm going to start like I always do. Premier League. I'm going to go launch straight into it. On the Friday night, Brentford was playing at home to Brighton. Brentford had got their worst defeat in their Premier League history. They'd lost 5-1 away to Newcastle in the previous game. They were coming into this game against Brighton full of optimism, and it proved to be the case. They won 2-0, 2 goals from Ivan Toney, 1 goal on the 27th minute and one on the 64th minute. Allowed Brentford to get a 2-0 win, which helped them to have a great start to the season, keeps them in the top half of the table. I believe they're in 9th at the moment, so not 10th even. So good start for Brentford. Going on to Saturday's games, the earlier kickoff was between Leicester City and Crystal Palace. Leicester City had still not won. They'd only won one game in the Premier League, but they were having such a poor start to the season. They were literally just ahead of Forest on goal difference, but they ended up getting a 0-0 draw. There was a lot of calls for Brendan Rodgers, the Leicester City manager, to get sacked by some of the fans. Not great times for Leicester City at the moment. But that was pretty poor. Down the other end of the table was also my lads, Forest. They had a really, really bad start to the season. A lot of players trying to gel. It's not looking great for him. Should have had a 1-1 draw, missed a penalty in the game, but Neves got the penalty for Wolves to decide it. Wolves won 1-0 in that game. So Wolves moved out of the relegation spaces because of that. Tottenham were playing in the evening kick-off against Everton. They won 2-0 from goals from Kane and Holberg, allowed them to a 2-0 victory. The battle between the two promoted teams from last season, Fulham and Bournemouth, ended 2-2. Goals from Diop and Mitrovic for Fulham and Solanke and Jefferson Lerma. 2-2 draw for that. That was all the Saturday games, and the Friday game obviously was Brentford's game. But going into Sunday's games, which was obviously yesterday, Villa was playing at home to Chelsea. Now, Villa had just drawn 1-1 away at Forest in the week on the Monday night football. But they got a lesson served to them. Mistake by Tyrone Mings letting Mount early on to score in the 6th minute, and then he got a worldie of a free kick in the second half to make it 2-0 for Chelsea on the 65th minute. Arsenal continued their good run. It's now nine wins out of 10 games, the first 10 games of the season. They're top of the league. They won 1-0 through Bukayo Saka. And Liverpool beat Manchester City. A goal from Mo Salah. The funny thing about it was all their tactics and planning on both Klopp and Pep Guardiola's side, and it was a long ball routine, route one routine that led to the goal from the Liverpool goalkeeper Becker. The ball found Salah upfield with only Cancelo on his own, and he turned Cancelo and just ran past and just slotted it past the goalkeeper. So Liverpool won that one 1-0. Most people thought Man City would probably win that game, but Liverpool get back on track a bit. They're still not had a great start to the season. They're still lying in 9th position in the league, but it's early days yet. We're only, 10 games in for most of the teams. Manchester United, they got a boring 0-0 draw against Newcastle, although they did have a goal disallowed in the game. Ronaldo got sent off and he got a bit upset about it. He got sent off for Rashford, but anyway, Man United continued to struggle a little bit by their previous standards. Then it was Southampton and West Ham in the final game. Perraud scored his first goal for Southampton on the 20th minute. Declan Rice equalised in the second half on the 64th minute. So West Ham got a good point there as they continue to pull away from the relegation area. They're now on 11 points and they sit comfortably in 12th position in the table. So not too bad for West Ham at the moment. They're doing quite well. Like at the weekend, Haaland didn't score. So that was a bit of a shock. People were expecting him to show his goal scoring prowess against Liverpool in the battle of the top two most dominant teams over the last 5 seasons in the league. Arsenal are top 4 points clear after Manchester City losing. So great start, like I said earlier, for Arsenal. I'd love to see Arsenal win the league because it's been a long, long time since someone else other than Manchester City, Liverpool or Chelsea's won it. So be nice to see somebody different for a change. I'm sure Spurs fans wouldn't agree with that. But there we go. That's how it goes. Going into the Championship, we're looking at it all. Championship right now, at the start of the day, it was Sheffield United and Norwich, but things happened in the day that changed that all around. Sheffield United, they went 2-0 up in the 3 o'clock kickoff. They went 2-0 up against Blackpool at home. Goals from McAteer and died, but Blackpool came storming back 2 goals before half time from Jerry Yates, who also scored 2 in their previous game at home to Blackpool, where they won. At home to Watford the following last week, where they won 3-1, surprisingly. Then Dougal scored that, put Blackpool 3-2 up after being 2-0 down at Sheffield United. Top of the table, Sheffield United. Norwich also lost at Watford. They lost 2-1 in the evening kickoff, 7:45 kickoff on Saturday evening. Goals from Loser and Davis gave Watford a 2-0 lead. Sargent got one back, but that's how the game panned out and finished 2-1. So yeah, that was a bit of a shock for both those teams. They both didn't get wins at the weekend. And because of that, Burnley capitalised by winning, and they won 4-0 in their game against Swansea. Goals from Viteo, 2 goals from Jay Rodriguez and 1 from Zavary, gave Burnley a 4-0 win against Swansea at home. So that was an easy win for them. Burnley go top of the table. Sheffield United are in second. Norwich are in third. QPR slipped a place because they lost 3-1 at Luton Town in the early kick-off on the Saturday. Blackburn won 2-1 away at Middlesbrough. Goals from Lenihan and Gallagher. Duncan Watmore got one goal back for Middlesbrough, but they continue to have a poor start to the season, and they're in the relegation zone still. Reading, they had a surprise defeat. They lost 2-0 at home to West Bromwich Albion. West Brom get back on track, so that's good for them. They're moving a little bit out of the relegation zone because of that, 1 point clear of it. Looking at other results, Bristol City lost 2-1 at home to Millwall. Cardiff lost 1-0 at home to Coventry City. Preston lost 2-0 against Stoke. Rotherham won 2-1 on Sunday against Huddersfield Town. Goals from Washington and Kelly. And Hull City lost 2-0 at home to Birmingham City. So they continue their poor run. They're only just outside the relegation zone by a point from Middlesbrough. Sunderland finally got a win on the board. Embleton scored and Kirk in that gave them a 2-1 win against Wigan. They continue to be without their 2 main strikers, Ross Stewart and Ellis Sims. So one of their 2 of those players are going to come back over the next few games. So that will help Sunderland to get up the table. But Sunderland are not far outside of the playoffs, to be honest. They're only 2 points off the playoffs. So it's all to play for. But like I say, that's what the table looks like. Burnley are top now, Sheffield United in second, Norwich, QPR, Blackburn and Reading in the playoff places. Excuse me. And then you've got in the relegation zone, it's Middlesbrough, Huddersfield Town and Coventry City. So, yep. So that's how it's going in Championship right now. Going into League One, Derby County had a really good win away at Accrington Stanley after a bit of an indifferent start to the season. They won 3-0. Bolton drew 0-0 with Barnsley, so a bit of a surprise there because Bolton normally score at home and they normally get wins, quite regular wins. Burton Albion drew 1-0 against Morecambe in the battle of the top 2 of League One. Cambridge lost 2-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday, 2 goals from Lee Gregory. That put Sheffield Wednesday into 3rd place. Bristol Rovers won 4-1 away at Cheltenham in the battle of the West Country, local derby there. Exeter lost 4-2 at home to Oxford United, who that's quite a localish derby as well. Fleetwood were playing again at home to Shrewsbury. They lost 1-0 to Shrewsbury. Shock of the weekend in League One was possibly Lincoln City winning 1-0 away at Ipswich Town, who were second at the start of the day. They're still lining second now after that. Goal from House for Lincoln City, so that got them up to mid-table area. Plymouth continue their fantastic start to the season. They've now won 11 games, drawn 1 and lost 2 all season. They won 4-1 away at MK Dons, so that puts them 4 points clear of Ipswich in second. Port Vale drew 2-2 with Forest Green Rovers, and Wickham had a great win at home to Peterborough United 3-1. So, as I say, top of the League One table, it's Plymouth in first. You've got Ipswich in second, and then in the playoff places, it's Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, Peterborough, and Barnsley. Now, Portsmouth play tonight against Charlton Athletic. I predicted 2-2 in that game between Charlton and Portsmouth. So I don't think Portsmouth are going to do any great move any further up the table. They'll just stay in, in 4th. Even if they was to win the game against Charlton, they'd still stay in 4th in League One. So So yeah, that's what's going on in League One. Top goal scorer in League One still Jonson Clarke-Harris for Peterborough with 10 goals. Yeah, so we'll go straight into League Two now. Going into League Two, Stevenage were top at the start of the day, and they remained top because they had a fantastic win. Well, they got a draw away at 1-1 at Gillingham, but that kept them at the top because looking at the other games, excuse me, Leyton Orient drew 0-0 at home to Northampton, so that was a pretty poor game. So they stayed in second, and Northampton stayed in third in the league. Mansfield Town, they won 2-1 against Walsall, which kept them in fourth. Bradford City, they won 1-0 away at Salford, which kept them in fourth place in the playoff areas. Carlisle are in the playoff areas in sixth, thanks to their 3-0 win against Doncaster Rovers. Salford City remain in the last place in the playoffs, even though they lost 1-0 at home to Bradford City. So that's what's going on in the top bit of League Two at the moment. In the relegation zone, Hartlepool continued to stay bottom after losing 2-1 away at Harrogate Town. Crawley had a 2-1 win at home to Newport County, but they remain in the bottom two. Looking at other results, AFC Wimbledon lost 1-0 at home to Sutton United. Mansfield, I've already mentioned Mansfield. We've got Rochdale beating Barrow 2-1. It's a good result for them. Stockport County got smashed 3-1 by Grimsby Town. Codheads continue their march up the table. They're now not even that far off now. I think they're like 3 points off the playoffs. So they've had a good start to the season. More's the pity being a Scunthorpe fan. It's hard supporting two teams. You should only support one, really, but sometimes that's how it goes. But Swindon capped it off in that league. League Two, they won 1-0. Swindon remained just outside the playoffs by 1 point. And Tranmere had a great win. They continue their great revival after a poor start to the season. They won 3-0 at home to Crewe on the Friday night game that they had. So that's the review of all the weekend's actions. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into the predictions. My goal scoring predictions. I'm talking nonsense. Basically, I predict. I'm going to predict my scores for the week to come's action. So, as I already said, Charlton are playing Portsmouth tonight. I've gone for a 2-2 draw in that one. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, you've got staggered Premier League games. Mainly because Amazon Prime, they do it, I think, about 3 times a season. They have games on every night pretty much for like 3 or 4 nights running. So on the Tuesday night games, it's Brighton up against my lads, Forest. Forest, they've been a bit unlucky in the last couple of games. They've certainly got tighter in defence, but I think Brighton's just going to be too much. I think Acerbi will get his first win as manager of Brighton after 4 attempts. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Brighton in that one. I really hope that Forest win that one, even if they just sneak a 1-0 win, but can't really see it. I think Brighton have got more experience and a slightly better team at the moment. Well, a better team at the moment. So go with that. Then it's Crystal Palace against Wolves on Tuesday night. I'm going to say 2-0 to Crystal Palace. In the Championship, it's Blackburn against Sunderland. Going to say 2-1 to Blackburn. 3-1 to Blackburn. Huddersfield against Preston 1-1. Norwich against Luton 3-2. I'm going to go 4 to Norwich. Stoke against Rotherham 3-1 to Stoke. Swansea against Reading, going to go 1-1. West Bromwich Albion against Bristol City 2-1 to West Brom. And then going into Wednesday night's games, you've got a lot more Premier League fixtures on Wednesday night. You've got 5. Bournemouth playing up against Southampton on the South Coast derby. I fancy Bournemouth to win that one 2-1. Then Brentford's playing Chelsea in a West London derby. I'm going to go for Chelsea to win that one 2-1. Liverpool's up against West Ham. I'm going to say 2-0 to Liverpool. Man United's against Spurs. I'm going to go for a shot for Spurs to win that one 2-1. And then Newcastle against Everton. I'm going to go for Newcastle to smash Everton 3-1. Then we're going to go into the Championship. Birmingham's playing at home to Burnley. I think this will be a tight game because Birmingham are on a bit of a good run at the moment, although Burnley are doing really well, being obviously top of the Championship at the moment. I'm going to go in favour of Burnley, though, 2-1, as they're the team that's top and they're scoring a lot more goals than Birmingham at the moment. So Go for that. Blackpool, they're on a good run at the moment. They've just got 4 points off two of the top teams in the Championship. I'm going to go for them to beat Hull 3-0. Coventry City at home to Sheffield United. I'm going to go for a shot Coventry City to win 2-1 and continue their rivalry. They've had a couple of good results in the last few games, Coventry. Millwall's then up against Watford in sort of like a localish derby. Watford's just outside London, so I'm going to go for Watford to win that one 2-0. QPR's at home to Cardiff on Wednesday night. I'm going to go for QPR to win that one. I'm going to go 2-0 to QPR. Wigan against Middlesbrough as well. I'm going to say 2-0 as well to Wigan. And then we're going into Thursday night's games. Arsenal's playing against PSV in the Europa League. That's a catch-up game because the Queen died around the time that Arsenal were playing that game, so they called that game off. But I'm going to go for Arsenal to win that one 2-0. And then on the same night, on Thursday night, there's two more Premier League games. Fulham's up against Aston Villa. I'm going to go 2-0 for Fulham in that one. And then Leicester's home to Leeds. I think Leicester's going to get a point there. I'm going to go for 1-1 in that game. So that's my predictions for those. On Friday night, Ipswich Town are playing against Derby County. I think they'll get back on track, Ipswich, but I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw because Ipswich Derby will have a bit of confidence after winning 3-0 away at Accrington on the Saturday just gone. So that's my predictions for Monday to Friday. But going on to Saturday and Sunday's fixtures and Monday, going on to Saturday's fixtures, there's 4 Premier League games. Chelsea's up against Man United in the evening kickoff. I think that's going to be a tight game, but I'm going to still say that Chelsea are going to win it 2-0. Everton's playing against Crystal Palace. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that one. Man City's playing Brighton. I'm going to go for Manchester City to beat Brighton 3-0. Forest up against Liverpool, which I'm not looking forward to be honest. Liverpool, they had a good win against Man City at the weekend, as we all know. I think I'm looking at it. I want to be optimistic, but I just can't see it. I think Liverpool's going to beat us 3-1. I'll go for 3-1 to Liverpool. Going into the Championship, Blackburn against Birmingham City on Saturday. Coming up, I think I'll go for 2-2 in that one. Blackpool against Preston, 2-0 to Blackpool I'm going to do. Middlesbrough against Huddersfield, 1-1 draw, I think, for that one. Millwall against West Bromwich Albion. I'm going to go for 2-1 West Bromwich Albion. QPR against Wigan, I'm going to call that a 1-1 draw. Reading against Bristol City, I'll go 2-2 in that one. Rotherham against Hull, I'm going to go 2-0 Rotherham. Sheffield United against Norwich, going to go for a 2-2 in that one. And then Stoke against Coventry City, going to say, I think I'll go for 3-2 Stoke. And then Sunderland against Burnley, I'm going to go for Burnley to win 2-0. In League One, it's Accrington against Bolton. I'm going to go for Accrington to lose that one, 1-0. Bristol Rovers against Plymouth, I'm going to go 2-0 to Plymouth. Burton Albion against Cheltenham, I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. Cambridge against Port Vale, 2-1 to Cambridge. Exeter against Fleetwood Town, I'm going to say 3-1 to Exeter. Excuse me. Forest Green against Portsmouth, going to go for a 2-0 win to Portsmouth. Lincoln up against Sheffield Wednesday, I'm going to say 2-1 to Lincoln. MK Dons against Wickham, going to go 1-1. Morecambe against Barnsley, going to say 3-0 for Barnsley. Oxford United against Peterborough, going to go say 3-2 to Oxford. Shrewsbury Town against Charlton, I'm going to go 2-1 Shrewsbury. And then going into League Two's predictions for Saturday, Carlisle's up against Leyton Orient. I'm going to go 2-1 in that to Carlisle. Crawley against Mansfield. I'm going to say 2-0 to Mansfield. Crewe against Doncaster. I'm going to say 3-1 Doncaster. Gillingham against Barrow. Going to go for a 1-1 draw. Grimsby against Bradford City. Going to say 1-0 to Bradford. Harrogate Town against Tranmere, I'm going to go 3-2 to Tranmere. Newport County against Colchester United, I'm going to say that's going to be a 1-1 draw. Rochdale against AFC Wimbledon, I'm going to say 3-1 for Rochdale. And then Salford City against Stockport, Greater Manchester Derby, going to go for 2-0 to Salford in that one. Stevenage continue to stay top, I'm going to say They're going to beat Northampton 2-1 in my opinion. Sutton United against Walsall. Sutton United, I'm going to say, are going to lose that 3-1. And Swindon against Hartlepool, I'm going to go 3-0 to Swindon in that one. So that's my predictions for Saturday. Going into Sunday, it's 5 more Premier League games like it was yesterday. There's 4 kickoffs at 2 o'clock again and 1 at 4:30. First kickoff at 2 on Sunday, it's Aston Villa against Brentford. Aston Villa are having a bit of a poor season so far. I'm going to say 1-1 draw though against Brentford. Leeds against Fulham. Fulham are doing really well this season, but I'm going to go for Leeds to win that one narrowly, 1-0. Then Southampton's playing at home against Arsenal. I think, although Southampton got a good point against West Ham, I think they're going to struggle against Arsenal. I'm going to go for Arsenal to win that one 2-0. And then Tottenham against Newcastle United. Going to say Tottenham to win that one 2-1. And then Wolves against Leicester. I think that's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go 1-1 in that one. And then you've got 2 championship games on Sunday. Swansea against Cardiff City. That's going to be a South Wales derby at 12 o'clock. I'm going to say 2-0 to Swansea. And then Watford against Luton, which is a Hertfordshire derby at the same time at 12 o'clock on Sunday. I'm going to say 2-0 for Watford on that one as well. So, and then finally, to complete the whole week, this week's action, including Monday, Chucky Monday, and West Ham are up against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are on a bit of a good run, but I think it's going to come to an end against West Ham. I think West Ham's going to win 2-1 in that one. So that's all my predictions. That's my review for the weekend's action. Whoever your team is, I hope they get some points. Obviously, we can't all win, but have a great week. Whoever you support, continue to like and subscribe. Pass it on to your friends and family. Get them to get behind us. We're going to get bigger and better. It's fluctuating at the moment. Sometimes we're getting a lot of good views, sometimes not doing so well. But in 3 or 4 years' time, we're going to have millions of people subscribing and you're going to wish that you were part of it all. So have a good week and bye for now.